Hi everyone, welcome to JuveTalk. We're here to talk about Derby d'Italia that happened yesterday, big game, and we're both kind of keeping half an eye on the Milan Cagliari game as well. Antonio's got his TV in front of him. Ciao Antonio, and
how you doing, buddy?
Very, very well, buddy. It was a good game yesterday, and I'm looking forward to getting into it, and hopefully we get some kind of a result from the Milan game. How is it looking to you so far?
It's looking actually promising. Milan look a bit rattled, to be honest with you. There's a great save just last maybe 3 minutes ago on Pavoletti by Donnarumma. Should have scored, but it was a great save. But yeah, it's looking. I think the more the game goes on, Milan will start to maybe get a bit rushed in everything they're doing. So listen, fingers crossed. We need all the help we can get now.
But you reckon Cagliari are well in this game anyway? So
I think listen, they're definitely in the game. I think Cagliari have quite a good side considering their league position. I think it lies a bit. I think they're much better than what the current league position says. Obviously, before the game, they were mathematically safe from going down to Serie B, and you can almost tell the way they're playing. They look as if they don't have that pressure on the shoulders, you know.
Yeah, that's good. There's hope. There's a bit of time left in that game. It would be unreal. What did you think of yesterday? Sorry.
Sorry. I was just going to say we need all the help that we can get. So fingers crossed. Listen, I know the game was ruined by the referee again. As I say, I've been shouting for consistency for quite some time now. I just think there's a lack of consistency from the referees, and certainly yesterday he wasn't up to the stature of the game. As I say, but we needed to win. We got the win. We done our job, and as I say, and the show goes on to another weekend. So I don't think my heart can take it, but just need to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a difficult one, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, the lead up to the game, I didn't really know what way it was going to go. Antonio Conte, I was expecting him to kind of spoil it a little bit and kind of get Inter to sit back. And I actually think he got it wrong, because Inter certainly didn't sit back. It was a bit of a kind of, there was a bit of to and fro to the game. It was a bit end to end. It was almost. Yeah. I'm not going to say like a Premier League game, but there was plenty of chances for both sides. Yeah, it was open. It
was very open. I predicted a second half performance. Now, I know obviously the red card didn't help, as I say, and that came quite soon into the second half. I'll touch on Bentancur in a moment. However, before Bentancur got sent off, we were way too deep, much like the second half in the Coppa game in the San Siro. We just didn't turn up in the second half, and I almost predicted that was going to happen. As I say, the red card didn't help, as I say, but there was 10. I think he gets sent off in the 55th minute. I could be wrong. As I say, there was a decent amount of football played before that red card incident, and we were way too deep, as I say. But on Bentancur, I said I wouldn't be too harsh on the guys, I say, because I don't want to contradict myself what I've said in other pods. So I still believe he's a very good footballer. I think it's more down to the system that he's playing in, as I say. But yesterday he let the side down again, as I say, because you can argue the second one was a bit harsh. It wasn't a yellow card, but
definitely.
My criticism of him, he's always given the referee a chance to send him off. The first yellow card could have been avoided. He didn't need to make that challenge on Lautaro. He was in his own half. As I say, he's on a yellow card. He needs to show composure and discipline. As I say, and again, he's let us down, and the team suffered because of it.
Yeah, it's almost famous at this stage if Bentancur's on a yellow at all, we kind of half expect him to get sent off. He's, but I will say, like, in his defense, that second yellow card, I couldn't understand it. I mean, it's a shoulder to shoulder challenge. The referee, and I know it's in the rules that, like, you can't check with VAR for a second yellow. Like
Yeah.
it has to be, you know, just the red card offence, and you know, but I can't stand it. There's a lot of things about the current rules. What's the story?
Oh, another great save by Donnarumma. Oh my God, what a save! I tell you, Cowley are right in this. That's the 65th minute, and it is another phenomenal save by Donnarumma. Sorry, Colin.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're grand. You're grand. Yeah, I mean, I was just saying about like the rules. Like we saw it in the FA Cup final as well. Issues with VAR.
Yeah.
You know, for me, the way they apply VAR in general, I'm not happy with. Like it's just not great. What can I say about that? Like it needs to change. There needs to be some reform. But it's in other sports as well, and you know you don't see as many issues with it. You know, so
I think. Sorry, Colin. Continue. Sorry.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was going to say just two things here. Sorry, just touching on what you said there. I think you're right, absolutely, with Bentancur, the yellow card. The second one wasn't a yellow card. It should have been. The referee should have showed a bit of common sense more than anything, as I say. But my criticism of Bentancur, he's always given the referee a chance to send him off.
Yeah.
And give him that's what I'm saying. Say you're always giving the referee a possibility to send you off. On VAR, it needs to be reviewed again. I think it's a fantastic instrument if it's used properly. I think yesterday was a prime example of the referee struggling with the stature of the game. He was making a lot of mistakes. He had no control of the game. So that's when VAR should be stepping in to help him out a bit, as I say. But that needs reviewed big time. I think there's definitely more potential for that to be a positive instrument.
What did you think of the penalty incidents?
We were talking off air in the Cuadrado one. I think that's just the consequence of what happened previous, because I do believe that there was a foul on Chiellini by Lukaku. I know, and as I say, we were speaking off air. It didn't look like much slowed down, but if you've played the game, sometimes a hand on the shoulder, even when you're off balance, I think you need to give the benefit of the doubt to the defender there. So you can tell with Chiellini's reaction, he's usually quite calm, that he was majorly upset. So I think the referee was thinking to himself, the first chance I can get to level this one off, I need to, as I say. So I think there was the Delict one. I mean, obviously you could say maybe it's clumsy, but again, incredibly harsh. I mean, these are things that happen in football. If you're going to give a penalty for things like that happen, I mean, there's going to be 5-6 times during a game that you can go and review. I mean, he was never getting to the ball anyway. The ball was clearly 3-4 yards away from him. He was on his back foot. His weight had completely transferred to the other side. He was never getting on the ball, as I say. So I just think sometimes we speak about common sense and football.
It's gone.
Football intelligence. I think sometimes it's gone out of the game. I think referees, footballers themselves, they need to show more common sense, because it's becoming increasingly frustrating to see some of these decisions continuously being given.
Did you think? Sorry, I mean, I thought, like, I mean, the Delict one where he kind of half steps on Lautaro's heel. I could clearly see Lautaro take like another step and a half, and then and like he just hits the deck, you know, theatrically. And like initially I called, you know, that's a dive. He's got to book him. I even said I hope they have a look on VAR, because that'll never be a penalty and he'll get a yellow card for that. But it turned out to be a penalty. I mean, I don't know what to say. One thing I can say about the game is like drama. We had drama constantly. Like, it was just the twists and turns in the game. I felt when we went down to 10 that Pirlo made a good choice in taking Ronaldo off. What did you think of that?
I think he was gassed, to be honest. I think he was fighting a losing battle up there. He's definitely not a striker that can play up top on his own. I think Morata gave us a bit of as I say, it gives you a different dimension, especially with the team struggling and playing behind the ball. as I say. But yeah, I had no problems with it at all. He's a player like everyone else. Sometimes he just needs to accept that in certain instances, circumstances, he needs to come off. So I'm glad to see there was no issues when he came off, and he was there and obviously encouraging the team, which is important.
Yeah, I just, as you said, the fresh legs, I thought, and maybe the ability to hold the ball up. How well he did it, I don't know, but you just got the feeling Ronaldo was going to be chasing shadows for a period of time. So I mean, it was a great win, very controversial. I mean, you're looking at I was looking at Tuto Sport there this morning. They're talking about the referee, basically the scandal. What was it? That's in Italian there. Give me 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
The Croatian midfielder sent off in the 92nd minute. Okay. What would I say about that? I mean, the referee was a joke. I mean, I did say it afterwards. Like, I was kind of, I was delighted with him that he kind of evened it up. But I mean, like, what could you say? I think he kind of created a lot of the drama himself.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's lost control from the start. As I say, if you lose control in these big games, the players aren't going to help you. As I say, there's a lot on the line. As I say, there's a lot at stake. They're certainly not his friend. As I say, so the players are only going to play up to it. As I say, it's up to him to control the game, and obviously not let it take over. As I say, but unfortunately it did yesterday, and it's happened so many times. The consistency in Italy, especially with the referees, is it's certainly needs worked on. I thought yesterday as well. The first half, I actually lost count how many times Alexandro lost the ball. I mean, what has happened to that guy? It's incredible to see how far he's fell. To say, I think yesterday was such a poor performance. We kind of restricted Chiesa because obviously there was no service down that left-hand side from Sandro. I think in 2-3 separate occasions, there was a 3-yard pass on, and he actually played it off the pitch or to another opponent, as I say. So it's not good enough, and we're seeing it all the time now. I think obviously the season's done, but I'll be surprised if he's there next year. I really will.
Yeah. There's a lot of loose ends to be tied up. I mean, we don't even know who's going to be the manager next season. We like, we have some hopes and whatever, but I think it's almost, I don't know, just listening to all the talk now, like, is, Pirlo's gone, like, he's at the end of the season. So, I mean, what do you say? It depends on who's going to come in, as and how quickly they get all of it sorted out. That maybe the recruitment can begin sooner rather than later, because, as you said, there's certainly a lot of it to be done. What would I say? I mean, Sandro is kind of hit and miss. He's a good bit hit and miss. He's not. He's certainly not consistent. He's had a few great games recently, even. But I don't know. In general, he doesn't seem to have the legs anymore. His concentration doesn't seem to be kind of top level. You're right. He's passing at times. He gives the ball away. He looks a bit kind of lackadaisical on the ball, and he can kind of, he can be harassed off it. What else would I say? Look, the game finished very, very well. Like, but the actual contest itself, if it was a neutral, maybe you might have enjoyed it, but it was like, I was shitting a break for most of the game. Like, I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like,
absolutely, definitely. I was the same. As I say, my friend actually, one of my work colleagues, who he watches a lot of the Juve games just sometimes, so he can wind me up at work. Especially this year, I've had to take a lot of kind of sarky comments, I say, but he actually commented yesterday and just how entertaining the game was. As a neutral, it had everything: red cards, penalties, kind of incidents during the games. I say so. It had it all, but I think the most important part is we done our job. We got the 3 points, and then we move on to the next game. As I say so. Still a lot of football to be played. Sorry.
Do you think there's any hope for Pirlo after that?
Nah, I think he's gone. I really do. I think he's gone. Be interesting to see who comes in. I've heard a lot of talk, as I say, social media and media tabloids and all the things with Allegri been seen in Turin. Now he's red hot favourite to take over Zidane at Real Madrid. As I say, we're hearing so much. If it is the case that Allegri goes to Real Madrid, then I would hope that Zidane would come the other way, and I hope we can get that deal done. I suppose the big question is, would he take us on if we're not in the Champions League? You would like to think so. I think he's been very fortunate to win 3 European Cups back to back. I think he inherited a very good Real Madrid side. They were all at the peak of their powers, as I say. So I don't think he had much to do to make that team into obviously serial winners. But it'd be interesting to see if he takes this challenge, maybe with a rebuild and in the Europa League, as I say. So, but there's a lot still to be seen. We might not even be in Europe next year if UEFA sees this ban through. So there's a lot of kind of open questions almost.
What's your take on that? I mean, I think it's I think they're I don't think they're going to get anywhere with that. I mean, like, you've only a couple of months really to kind of sort it out if they're going to ban Juve, Real, and Barcelona, like, and it's probably going to get tied up in court. So, Juve have got some big lawyers on. I don't know if you know the guy. Dupont is his name.
Right.
He was the guy who represented Man City in their remember their case about the what was it, the financial fair play stuff. But he was also involved in the Bosman ruling, if you remember that back in the 90s. That was a major one, and that was him. So he's going to be representing the Super League clubs that are still in. So when I see that, I'm thinking immediately, this is not going to get sorted out quickly.
No, absolutely.
This guy he's going to be difficult about it, and he'll have to be, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, about Zidane, like, I mean, just pulled it up there. Fabrizio Romano reported a few quotes. Zidane says, "How can I tell my players that I'm leaving the club at this stage of the season?" Like, that's, I mean, I don't know, maybe something got lost in translation, but that's, he said, "I've not said anything to my players about my future." Florentino is waiting for Zidane's official decision while Real contact other managers to be prepared. So I don't know whether people are being a little bit sensationalist about it at the moment. It may just be a case that, you know, what he said there is true. Like, Real Madrid are looking for, you know, they're looking for an alternative manager if Zidane goes. But earlier on in the week, they were reporting that Zidane had already made up his mind. You know, it's all over the place now.
Speculation.
It is a bit speculative, especially considering Zidane hasn't made his decision. No, we all expect him to. Everybody seems to expect him to leave, but, you know, he could do a turnaround. He's already done a fairly big turnaround with Real Madrid. Like, what else were they saying? Here's another one. There's still nothing agreed or signed for Real Madrid's next manager. Max Allegri is a serious option. The other one is Raul. He's in the short list too, in case Zidane will confirm he's leaving. Florentino will decide soon.
I think there was serious talk of Raul as well. I think he was mentioned. But it's going to be. I hope whatever happens, it doesn't drag on, and obviously everything gets wrapped up and announced pretty soon. I still believe there's a good shout that Zidane might take the French job. I think that's always been one of his kind of goals, and I think this Deschamps, is leaving at the end of the Euros. So I'm hearing anyway. As I say, so I think that's worth keeping an eye on. But I'd love to see him come back. We spoke of this in your previous podcast. I would love to see Zidane come back, but again, a lot depends on. There's so much if, buts, and maybes almost. As I say, so
yeah, absolutely.
We'll just have to see.
We'll just have to wait and see. But yet, the speculation is,
yes.
You'd almost have to take a little break from social media at times.
Yeah.
Don't, by the way. Please like and subscribe too. But
absolutely,
because if you were to take everything you see seriously, it's 1 minute it's Zidane. Last week it was Allegri is 100% coming back to Juve. Yeah. All of this, we had Allegri's former mentor coming out and saying 100% he's going back to Juve. It's already done. And then we see Fabrizio Romano talking about, Allegri having been in contact with Real Madrid back in March, and a deal was already done. So, as I said, it's not, nothing is done until it's done.
And the funny thing is, there's been so many videos leaked on social media of Allegri in Turin just having random meetings with Grosso and Cherubini, and other times just kind of wandering about. So there's certainly there's a lot of kind of hidden Easter eggs with it all, as I say. So it'll be interesting, as I say. I just hope. I was actually speaking to my dad earlier on today. I just hope if it's not Zidane, if it's not Allegri, that we don't make the error of going for somebody like Gattuso or Spalletti or somebody mediocre, because it doesn't really doesn't breathe confidence. To obviously the direction the club's taking. If we appoint, it just looks as if it's another kind of hasty appointment of a manager that didn't really want in the first place. It's just we need to do something about it. In this case, I would bring back Sarri. Do you know what I mean? Because I just Gattuso and Spalletti, they're not Juventus managers. We need somebody tied up in a multi-million-pound deal. As I say, it's going to stay for a long time and have a clear project in mind. And we need to get this one right. We can't make any more mistakes with this.
Yeah. Have we any update on the Milan game?
82nd minute, still 0-0. So there's not been much happen, as I say. So if this one stays the way it is, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the Atalanta game. Because I certainly don't think Atalanta will lie down. Because you need to bear in mind as well, they're a small club. There should be incentives in there for them for finishing runners-up. So player bonuses, all those kind of things. And I don't think it's in Gasparini's nature just to kind of roll over, but you never know. They might play the famous, what's the word they use in Italy, biscotto. The
biscotto. Yeah. I don't quite understand it. Like, I understand it, but what they mean. But Jesus, I hope it doesn't happen. Like, I mean, we've seen it done in Europe before,
Yeah, but we need to do it. The thing is, like, it's easy. Just obviously doing it's fun as well. Saying if Milan draw here and then they draw against Atalanta, but let's not forget we need to go to Bologna and win. And Mihajlovic won't. He'll be telling his players that under no circumstances do we make it easy for Juventus. So we still need to do our job. And the thing is with Juve this year, Colin, you and I have spoke obviously so many times about it. I'm just not confident in our side one little bit. I think we're just way too inconsistent. So
I just think we're better in the big games. That's for me, that's like a mid-table side. If mid-table teams tend to peak every now and again for the big games, and then when it comes to taking care of the bread and butter, the more mundane games, the lesser teams, they kind of struggle, but like a championship winning team knows that you've just got to win every game and take it at its merits. Like,
I think it's definitely complacency it's definitely set into Juventus. We're seeing the results of this obviously this year when it's went horribly wrong, but there was complacency last year as well. We only won the Scudetto because of the COVID break. Broke the momentum of Lazio and Atalanta, because there was no chance we were winning that league last year, as I say. So, but I think this year, as you touched on, unless it's a Barcelona or a Inter we've got in front of us, we're just way too complacent. All we think we need to do is turn up, and eventually one of our superstars will obviously get the goal. But we've seen this year that it's just not good enough. We need to be pedal to the floor all the time.
Yeah.
So look at Bayern Munich. They've won the league 9 years in a row as well, but they play every game as if they want to really hurt the team, as I say. So I know that's a mentality thing and a club culture and identity, and it's not, you can't just obviously switch it on. But there's been way too many times this year where we have been way too inconsistent. I say so.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, you almost feel like you can't wait for the season to be over. You know, but at the same time, you know, I'm starting to feel a little bit hopeful. Like, I mean, if Zidane comes, or like, what about Deschamps? Would you take him? How would you feel over him?
No, I wouldn't. As I say, I think nothing against him personally. He's obviously, his credentials speak for themselves. He's won the ultimate prize, but not being an ageist here at all. But I think we need someone a bit younger. As I say, some of the kind of Zidane. I know obviously Allegri's not as young as Zidane, but Allegri's he's a proven winner. He's got a formula. He's got a formula that wins, and obviously it works. But listen, I think if you've not already worked out, Zidane's my favourite. I would love to see him back.
Yeah,
so I'd love to see him come home, to say. But there's a lot to do with his family as well, because his wife was one of the main reasons he left as a footballer, because she didn't like Turin. So unless her opinions changed in the city, she might need convinced as well. So
yeah, maybe she could stay in fucking Madrid altogether.
With the money he's getting, it shouldn't be a problem.
You stay over there, love. Don't worry. I'll see you every other weekend.
Funny thing is, actually, Stevie Gerrard, the manager of Rangers, his wife still. I know obviously it's only 4 hours up the motorway, as I say, but she stays in Liverpool. She doesn't stay in Glasgow. She chose not to come, as I say. So I wouldn't imagine it would be an issue. As I say, they've got more money than we can ever dream of, as I say. So I would hope that wouldn't influence
private jets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think if Zidane does come and we are in the Europa League, we can more or less count on Ronaldo staying, and obviously the club being serious, obviously investing money and correcting a very average side. As I say, it hurts me to say, as I say, but I need to be realistic. We've slipped way down since 2015. We haven't corrected the most important part in a football team, midfield. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
we haven't.
That's 6 years. 6 years without properly correcting a midfield and given. They say we haven't. Ronaldo, we've failed him massively. I'm Ronaldo's biggest critic. They say not as a footballer. Just obviously there's other things that I would criticise him on. To say, but can you imagine? I mean, obviously his goal ratios. I mean, it's ridiculous. As I say, but can you only imagine if we'd properly built a team round about him? We'd been a way different position just now, Colin. 100%.
I was saying that the other day, with a body like that could be just the major regret that we have, that that we didn't build a team around him. When you get a player like him, that you really and truly, your whole team has to be built around him, and they've got to be all willing to do that. Like, it's like, whatever about a guy having I was going to say an ego, but no, like, just thinking that the whole team should be built around him, whatever. But he delivers. You know what I mean? His numbers, when you look at them at the end of the season, you're like, okay, we had a striker that was scoring over 30 goals every season. We should have been making better use of that. Do you know what I mean? Everything else, obviously, everything else, every other department wasn't working as well as it should have been. Like,
Yeah.
but we've seen difficulties with Dybala and Ronaldo haven't really meshed at all when they've played together this season. They've looked kind of disjointed. Their link-up play hasn't been very good. You could see at times Ronaldo would drift one direction and Dybala would drift the other direction, and we end up having no kind of central figure at all up front, and
Yeah.
I think I said it to you on the last pod. I saw Cuadrado, this is against Fiorentina, pointing out where Dybala should have been, and he was on the right wing with Cuadrado. Cuadrado was looking to cross a ball and he couldn't. There was nobody in there, of course, but I mean, like, what else do I want to say? Yeah, I mean, if they get into the Champions League and we can't get, say if Zidane stays and the merry-go-round doesn't move and somehow we don't end up with Allegri, or if Allegri goes to Madrid, Zidane goes to France. I mean, you mentioned a couple of names there, Gattuso. I've kind of heard that Fiorentina are courting him quite a bit, but maybe I listened to Rocco Camiso. He went nuts at a press conference the other day. It was funny, but he lost the plot with a few of the Fiorentina fans, because they were expecting a bit too much of him, or maybe they were criticizing him a bit too much. But he made a few remarks about the manager and Beppe Iachini, and he said he shouldn't have got rid of him so quick.
Fiorentina is such a disappointing side. When you see their team on paper, you would think, do you know what, this is a decent team, and then you watch them play, and they're absolutely abysmal, But then they play against Juventus and they look like fucking Bayern Munich. So it's just that I fully expected Fiorentina to get something from that game today. But there you go.
Yeah. It would have been in their best interest, obviously, if we go out of if we don't get to Champions League. Old Rocco he doesn't get his bonus. He's short of 10 million. That's.
I think you actually touched on something just a couple of minutes ago about Cuadrado. I think Cuadrado's at his best when he's further up the pitch. I think as a right back he does his job, and I think he's a very good player at right back, but I think when you move him 60 yards up the pitch, he's a different animal, because I still think he's the best player in the league 1v1. I've said that for so long. I think he's so unpredictable playing against him when he's 1v1, and if you can put him in that position, to put him in a chance where he can square up a defender, I think my money's on him all the time.
He's very elusive.
Yeah. I'm pretty harsh on Pirlo, I must admit, and I have been harsh on him most of the season. But I think yesterday his tactics with I know it raised a few eyebrows. Morata and Dybala both on the bench, but I think Kulusevski playing in that kind of hole where he could come into midfield and help the guys out, and then obviously breaking forward, I thought he'd done a really good job. I still think personally that's his best position. Almost like a kind of Mezzala. He's very physical. He's got quite good progression with the ball, as I say. So it worked well, and then obviously Bentancur ruined it for everyone, as I say. But
getting sent off.
Yeah. So he learned. I think Pirlo's learned a lot from the first game. We gave him way too much respect, in my opinion. I still believe that's the worst Inter winning Scudetto team I have ever seen. I think they're bang average. I really do, and as I say that. I don't think they're a very good side. They're made up of players that couldn't cut it elsewhere. As I say, so
I think they'll be found out next year in the Champions League.
They will
100%. And I don't know. Maybe Conte already knows that, but he had it handy this year. He got half the year to concentrate just on Serie A, and that was it.
Do you know that you're not going to believe this? You might want to sit and hold on tight to your chair. Do you know my dad strongly believes that Conte will be the Juve manager next year?
I've heard a few people say it.
Do you know the thing is, as crazy as that may sound, I still strongly think that he won't. There's been a few things he's said in press conferences I think he does know that there's going to be that Inter do need 4 or 5 additions to be really challenging next year, and obviously make a strong challenge to kind of obviously retain the Scudetto. But Inter don't have the finances. Obviously, you've seen that they're at a loss again. They're obviously they tried to sell the club just not that long ago, as I say. So I don't know what it is, but my dad's been right with these things before, and I hope not, as I say, because Conte for me has burnt his bridges at Juventus the minute he signed that contract with those arseholes, as I say. But listen, I think that in football we've learned anything can happen, so.
Absolutely. I mean, anything can happen. Imagine the reception he get. Jesus, we thought it was bad for do you remember when Allegri joined and literally nobody, imagine a manager coming back from Inter. Like, I mean, I know what's happened in the past, but not like this. Conte has just had too much to say.
And I think my dad's had too much vino, to be honest with you. I think that's do you know, my dad's from Lecce, and that's where Conte's from. So he's a fellow paisano, and I do know that my dad's a big fan of Antonio Conte. He won't say it, as I say, because he knows how I feel about him. But I think underneath, he's hoping that he comes back one day. So I may need to choose a different guy to watch football with from now on.
Exactly.
That's the game finished 0-0, Colin. Finished
0-0. That's a great result for Juve. Fantastic.
It's another lifeline, so.
Oh, so where does that put us in the table now, Antonio?
Well, I think that's Milan now on 76 points. Yeah. And if they draw, if anything but, so if they draw Atalanta, it takes it to 77. We win at Bologna, it takes us to 78. So we beat them by a point. So we need to do our job. We know what we need to do. Obviously, we're hoping that Verona and Atalanta can do us a favour. I don't think Verona are. They're safe. There's nothing more they can do. Their season's finished 2-3 games ago. So. And I know Napoli are playing really well. I can't take it away from them. They are playing. They're playing well, as I say. But
very well, yeah.
We're going into the last day of the season with quite a lot of lifelines now. So, fingers crossed.
So what are the permutations? So we play Bologna, obviously. We're fingers crossed, assuming that we're going to get the 3 points there. Then Milan have Atalanta, don't they?
At Bergamo, and Napoli play at home against Verona.
Against Verona, yeah. I mean, Verona are not an easy side either, But as you're saying, maybe their season is over. Maybe they'll roll over, but will they?
You would hope not. You would hope not, as I say. But listen, the biggest challenge is going to be Juventus to get the 3 points, and unfortunately, that's just the way it's been this year. You touched it on yourself when the opposition's, with all due respect to Bologna, but the opposition is mediocre or inferior to ourselves.
Yeah,
we seriously struggle. But if they can't get up for that game with a potential Champions League position up for grabs, then obviously the problems are bigger. As I say, so I still think that Milan will drop points at Bergamo. I really do. I think that's got a draw written all over it, if I'm being honest.
I mean, Atalanta.
What was the score in the San Siro? Can you remember? Because it'd be interesting to see if I can't remember with it.
I can't remember that either. So, Milan, Atalanta. Let me go back.
Yeah, I'm just curious because obviously sometimes these little things, a team maybe want to get one back, but I'm just hoping to Atalanta.
January 23rd, Christian Romero, Josip Ilicic penalty, and Duvan Zapata. So unless this was a Serie A game, it was there was no cup game. Sorry,
Milan they're a funny side. I mean, in the last 2 games, they've scored 10 goals and conceded none. They've come off a win 7-0, and then a game that they need to win, and they drop points, as I say. So this is when you see it, the true character of our side. Obviously, going to Atalanta, they need to win. They'll not be going there to play for a draw. They need to go there and win, as I say.
Yeah.
So they'll know what they need to do. We just need to do our job and hope that the gods are with us, and Verona and Atalanta pull off. I wouldn't say a surprise because they're good sides, but just they give us a chance, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. We obviously have to get the win. I think I really hope it's not going to be one of those like the biscotti is what we were talking about that where they're biscotto, or is that what it is? I'm not sure. But
well, Atalanta would need to go out and actually lose. As I say, a draw's not good enough for Milan. I still don't think Atalanta are that kind of side that could. They play such entertaining football and they're very direct. I think anything but a performance from Atalanta, then you would seriously ask questions if maybe there's darker powers at work, you know. But listen, I've made peace with it a long time ago now, Colin. I've accepted and prepared myself mentally for potentially not getting in the Champions League. So if it happens, it'll be a pleasant surprise. If it doesn't happen, we've only got ourselves to blame. I mean, the whole talk, we've been talking now for 3/4 of an hour almost. And every single time we spoke about it, we've mentioned other teams. We shouldn't be relying on other sides to get a last place in the Champions League. That's the main kind of factor in it all, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the only thing I can look forward to now is the transfer season, and the first big kind of date that I had. I mean, obviously the Coppa Italia, we want to win that. You know, we want to have some sort of silverware for the for the cabinet for the end of the season. You know, and that'll be great. There's nothing to be kind of sniffed about there as well. You know, but I'm thinking about May 27th and John L. Can's meeting. You know, with the board and with the proper board, the XOR lads. You know, and whether they're going to put money into the club or not. That's the big one, and that's gonna dictate what happens in the transfer market. You know, So
I think as well. I know obviously John Elkann he's a phenomenal businessman, saying a very wealthy one at that as well. But let's not kid ourselves on. He's put Ferrari and Fiat and everything else he deals with on a daily basis. He's always put in before Juventus. Juventus doesn't fall. It's not really high up on his priority to say. So Agnelli's the one with more of a connection to them, as I say. So I wouldn't be surprised if nothing happens, to be honest with you. But I'm hoping that the fact that he was there the other day, the other week there against Milan, that's maybe something to kind of keep an eye on. But listen, let's hopefully get this win against Bologna. Obviously, let's win this Coppa, because I think psychologically that could seriously put us in good stead get into the last game. But Atalanta will be gunning for us as well. That will be their first chance of trophy silverware as well. So it's a very much, I see that game 50-50. I can't pick a winner, to be honest with you.
It'd certainly be fun, you know, and you never know, we might jump on live after that game as well if we have time. And
here's a funny scenario for you. What about if we just give Atalanta the Coppa Italia, we've done them a favour, and then they do, you know, you can only try, as I say, because
I was thinking when there's this talk of this Biscotto thing, I was thinking, well, you know, Juve actually have a good relationship with Atalanta. It's probably not, it's probably not. They're probably not going to be favouring anyone else. They have a lot of deals to be done with us during the summer as well, you know. So maybe we have a bit of pull with them, you know. But
anyway. Looking back over the season, but when you look at some of the results, 1 point from the Benevento, obviously over the 2 games against Benevento, we took 1 point. Obviously defeat against Fiorentina, we only took 1 point from those games. The draw against Torino. There's so many games. It's been such a disappointing season. It really has. To sum it all up, I mean, I was kind of my expectations were low anyway when Pirlo came in. Say I didn't really expect great things from us. I think looking back now, although I still say they're not anywhere near as good as us, I still think they're inferior to us. But I knew Inter were going to be a threat this year. Just obviously they did a settled team. They made some good additions, and Conte can smell blood from a mile away. You can't say that about him. But I never thought in my wildest dreams would be still, with one game left, would be going through all these different scenarios just to make Champions League football. So there's a lot of work to be done next year, Colin. There's a hell of a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, just to rebuild the side. I mean, there's a lot of players need to go. I'm just reading there, Dybala got dropped from the Argentina squad as well.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I think it's just down to fitness, to be honest with you. Funny. I seen a stat after Ronaldo scored his 100th goal the other night. I can't remember precisely how many goals Dybala was on when Ronaldo joined, but it was something ridiculous. I think it was like 60 odd goals. Ronaldo's joined past him. I say obviously Dybala had that injury and he's been kind of injury plagued, but let's not forget Ronaldo's had COVID and he's been injured as well. So absolutely unbelievable stats again. The guy's an absolute living legend. He's a monster. He really is.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean, like for me, I think Dybala needs to go this year. That's I've had enough of him. He's given us a couple of good years, but there's always been this kind of a, is he a striker? Is he a number 10?
Yeah.
Can he play slightly wide? Nobody seems to know his best position, but he plays best when he's closest to goal. That's just my opinion, because his finishing is good. If you can get him into a shooting position close to goal, if you can slip him down the channel, he can do damage. Do you know what I mean? But he doesn't. He just doesn't do it enough, and he's been incredibly frustrating for me anyway to watch when he has played this year, because you see him all over the pitch. He's turning up in midfield. He's on the wing, and then maybe once or twice in the game, if we're lucky, he'll be up front. And when he gets a ball, he looks dangerous. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he looks dangerous, but he just doesn't do it enough.
Yeah, I must admit, I do agree with you. I think when you analyse his time with Juventus, and obviously when you take out of the equation, he's asking for this obviously salary, his salary to be touched up and quite significantly as well. I think everything changed when he obviously became our number 10. I think he's felt the pressure, in my opinion, and when you analyse his time, the one game it sticks out to me that I really thought, well, wait a second here, he is going to be this next best thing, was the Barcelona game when we won 3-0, when he scored 2 goals and he was sensational that game. But the problem I've got there, I can't remember any other games in Europe when he's been this influential figure, as I say, and I think that's how you need to kind of look at it. I know he's done great things with us, as I say, but I just don't think he's done enough. And I think the times came now to move him on. But the problem we may have got ourselves into a bit of a mess with this one, because he might just stay. And if we lose him on a free transfer, I mean, that's just the bloody cherry on top for the shit show it's been. So, and there's every chance we could lose him for nothing, and that would be tragic.
He could just wind down the clock, as they say. I mean, that's what it comes to. It comes down to numbers at the end of the season. Like you tot it up, like, for like, we can criticize players here and there, like, but when you see, over the course of a season, the numbers they produce, like, at the start of the season and throughout the season, really, Cuadrado's been getting criticism, but eventually people realize, hold on a minute, the numbers, are saying something different. For Dybala, who's a striker, you look at the numbers at the end of the season, whether he's injured or not, you put the numbers up against the amount of games he's played.
Yeah.
And it doesn't add up.
No.
He got the season's MVP last year from the league, in fact, which was a surprise to me. I know he played very, very well before the break.
He played well under Sarri, I must admit. He played well.
Yeah, but he still only had 11 goals.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Although he played well, you're looking for that bit extra from your number 10. And for this, obviously, I know it's speculation, and we don't know what's getting said behind the scenes, but I strongly believe that he does want a higher salary. I just don't think he's shown enough to deserve it. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's maybe unpopular opinion, but I just think I'm looking for that bit extra from him, and time after time after time, he goes missing. You know.
Yeah, about the goalkeeping situation then as well. Donnarumma, I heard you mention him a couple of times when you were watching the game there.
Yeah.
Were you impressed with him at all this time?
Crucial saves. Again, I didn't obviously see much of the second half, as I say, but I think there was a shout for him to be man of the match, because without his saves, Milan were in big trouble. I mean, the one from Pavoletti you might see later on. Pavoletti was 3 yards out of a point-blank header. He's headed it down, and he's got down, and obviously with a strong hand, he's palmed it away from danger, as I say. But on the keeper thing, I was disappointed not to see Buffon start yesterday. And I still think if Lukaku, I know obviously it's just crystal ball material, and there's no kind of logic behind it, but I still think when you're a penalty taker facing Buffon, there's psychological games involved there. I think Lukaku, obviously Buffon would have probably saved Lukaku's penalty. So I was disappointed not to see him start, just because of the stature of the game and what he can bring. Nothing against Chesney, but there was an instance in the first half when he came out and almost collided with Danilo. He was way out of his box. There's no that's what we spoke about this in your previous podcast. The communication. It's just there's such a breakdown from him, and sometimes he just looks as if his concentration's it's all over the place.
Sorry, I'm getting the highlights going here.
I was wondering where that advert was going. I seen a woman get into bed. I was all calling, put it off quick.
What's going on? I'm looking for the AC Milan Cagliari highlights. They're here now.
You got them on, yeah?
Yeah, if it ever gets going. I probably should have waited till it was gone.
What did you think of De Ligt's performance yesterday? He must be our next captain, surely.
Yeah, I saw a great attitude from him. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant. Great attitude.
A lot of fight. I saw the same from Chiellini as well. Do you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
I thought Rabiot had a good game as well. I thought Rabiot was one of his better performances. I think he was solid. I think it really is just down to concentration and who the opponents are for certain players, and they find that extra level of concentration. I'm making excuses for them because it shouldn't be that way. They're playing with a massive club and on a huge salary. You can't pick and choose what games you should be up for, as I say. But I think players like Chiellini, Buffon, Alex Sandro, who's been there for a long time, won a lot of trophies. I think even during training session, there's complacency, and these new guys feed off of that. They need to know that.
Yeah,
you know, as
like
I say,
we had reports, and before the Milan game, actually, that the players weren't happy with the training. They weren't happy with. I don't know if any of this is true. I'll be honest. Some of it is probably just rubbish.
How did they know this? You know, it's just
how did they know this? They're
just trying to knock the wheels off Juventus again. So
yeah, I mean, I know that certain journalists do have, connections inside. Like you see on Tutto Sport every now and again, you see Bonucci's wife. You know, and there are she does some of the journalists that write for big papers. She talks to, and things like that. So things get out, but I don't see anybody sorry, I refuse to believe that anyone would hang Pirlo out to dry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, whether they disagree with the way things are being run, or whether they've given up on him, I think he would always command enough respect that you wouldn't hear things like that players aren't happy with him, they're not happy with his training methods, anything like that. So, like, when I hear leaks like that, immediately I think that's got to be bullshit. But
I mean, I agree with you 100%. But I believe very little what I read. Not only in football, just in tabloids and obviously media in general. I think they're just looking to write an article. Very seldom you'll find any truth in it. As I say, I can only judge what I see on the pitch, and unfortunately, we're not fortunate enough to participate in training sessions where we can see what goes on behind the scenes, and so we just can only analyse what we see when the guys take the field and play for 90 minutes. I see a team behind their manager 100%. I mean, even the goal against Udinese, Pirlo's ran the length of the pitch to join his team, as I say. So there is. Let's not. I think we've been a bit harsh on Pirlo, especially myself, and I won't obviously contradict what I've said previously, but it has been his first year. I mean, he's had no pre-season, no friendlies whatsoever. He's learning as he goes along. He's been dealt a horrendous hand of cards where he's had so many injuries to deal with. So I think a lot comes down to that as well. And to be honest with you, going forward, if we can sneak that last place for the Champions League, and Zidane and Allegri, these names mentioned don't come, I would keep Pirlo, because I think Gattuso and Spalletti is just an accident waiting to happen, in my opinion.
That's kind of what I was getting at earlier on. Like, I mean, I don't want the likes of Simone Inzaghi, certainly not Spalletti. Jesus, oh my God, no. I would 100% keep Pirlo. If those are the only names besides Allegri and Zidane, 100% keep Pirlo. You know, because you don't want to turn Juve into, like, those guys are. I mean, certainly Spalletti. Spalletti is a journeyman. He's with a different club every second season. Like, you know, it's,
I've heard a lot about his. There's a lot of falling outs with. I think he falls out with his players, and I just don't think he's Juventus style. I think that's just another Sarri, in my opinion.
Yeah, but he's never been successful anywhere, really.
No, he's not been successful. It would be interesting to see if Pirlo does remain. Obviously, what happens in the transfer market, and then he's obviously going to have a pre-season behind him. I think he's the kind of player. The kind of manager that he will stick to his philosophy. Although he's not been able to apply that this year for so many reasons. He's learning this group of players get adapted to his style of football. So I think it's only right, if he does remain, that the club seriously invest and give him the players that obviously that can buy into what he's trying to do. I mean, I've seen a comment, obviously a supposed comment made by Simeone on Bentancur, where he said that Bentancur's perfect for his style of football, and I strongly believe Bentancur would do really well at Atletico Madrid, because he suits that style and the character of his managers, I say. So the Juventus of Pirlo, for me in my eyes, would be a player like Locatelli in midfield. We spoke off air about Yuri Telemans, a player I've watched for so many years, and I would love to see him at Juventus. Players that are good they're good technical footballers. I think that's what we lack seriously in midfield. We've got midfielders that all do the same thing, maybe bar the exception of Artur.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the thing, and the real question would be then if Allegri Zidane doesn't work out, will the fans get back on board with Pirlo, or is it going to be a tough crowd? You know,
sometimes you're better the devil, you know, Colin.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. So I just think when you say another one, and I forgot all about Simone Inzaghi. I think he's almost linked to the Juventus job every year, and I don't understand why, because I don't think he's this. I don't think he's anything special. I'll be honest with you. He's a decent manager, but is he a manager? Is he a manager of Juventus? Absolutely not. Gattuso again. a great motivator. I suppose he's obviously way more experienced than Pirlo, but again, I'm looking for that bit extra. Let's not forget Juventus. I consider them as a superpower on and off the pitch. Italy's most successful side, as I say. So there needs to be a certain stature of player and a certain stature of sporting directors and manager. It all needs to. There can't be disjointment, as I say. We can't just buy players for the sake of buying them, and pick a manager for the sake of picking a manager, because we've not done what we should be doing and speaking to these managers maybe earlier. I think Sarri was just the panic buy. I strongly believe that they've tried to get Guardiola in. Obviously, that's fell flat in its face, and Sarri was the only logical one out there, as I say. But that's not long term. That's just a kind of flash in the pan, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. What else would I say? We're just getting close to wrapping it up time. I thank you very much for coming back, you know, and
My pleasure.
And hopefully we'll do it again soon. When maybe some more of these questions that we have are answered, you know. Hopefully the news certainly will keep developing over the next few days. Thanks very much for watching. To everybody else, and you know, like and subscribe, please, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers. Bye bye.